All right, let's dive into something pretty critical today. We usually think of late September as starting to come down, weather-wise. But what if the data points towards a high risk, a real probability, that the summer of extremes we've seen isn't quite done, that it could actually, well, flare up again? We're looking at a climate risk assessment for Europe, West Russia, and the North Caucasus, specifically for September 17th, 26th, 2025. And it's maybe not what you'd assume.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here is exactly that point you raise. This isn't us trying to guess the weather for a specific Tuesday, 3 weeks from now. That kind of short-term forecast. Right. It loses reliability fast beyond maybe a week.
Right.
This is different. It's climate projection. We're looking at the long-term averages, the established trends, historical patterns, and a risk profile built on that kind of data. That's much more valuable, much more actionable for your planning. It kind of reframes the whole approach.
Okay, so it's about probabilities based on bigger shifts. And the analysis, it's showing a real chance for that summer of extremes pattern to stick around or maybe even make a comeback in late September.
Exactly. But to really grasp it, you need to understand the underlying context, the sort of foundational shift that's already happened.
And that's where it gets, well, quite stark, doesn't it? Europe is the fastest warming continent. We're talking a 2.3 degrees Celsius rise compared to pre-industrial levels just by 2022. And West Russia, warming 2.5 times faster than the global average? That's huge. This isn't just a weird year. It's becoming the new baseline, right?
That's precisely it. It's a new climatological baseline. And these rising average temperatures, they don't happen in isolation. They create this domino effect.
How so?
Well, more heat means more frequent, more intense heat waves. That leads to drought conditions, drying out the soil. Then inevitably, when heavy rain does arrive,
it hits that hard, compacted ground, just runs off, leading to flash floods.
Exactly. Instead of soaking in, it leads to devastating floods, river overflows. The key takeaway is the volatility. You can't just plan for heat or rain. You have to anticipate these rapid swings, potentially one extreme setting the stage for the next.
So it's about preparing for instability, not just one specific threat. And how does this play out differently across the regions we're looking at?
Right, it varies. Southern and Western Europe, for instance. Traditionally, that lovely velvet season, pleasant autumn weather.
Yeah.
But now, high probability of late season heat waves. Remember September 2023, warmest on record for Europe, and the Met itself hitting 27 Celsius back in June this year. It's like a giant heat storage unit, fueling these longer, hotter spells into autumn.
Okay, so heat risk lingers longer in the south and west. What about Central and Northern Europe?
There, the dominant risk shifts. It's more about heavy rainfall, severe storms, and flooding. It's a strange paradox. Maybe less overall summer rain, but punctuated by these incredibly intense downpours. We've seen the kind of flash flooding that causes.
And then West Russia and the North Caucasus. A different picture again.
Somewhat. Despite some, general cooling trends overall, they still face risks of really unseasonal heat waves. Think back to Moscow. 2010, 33 straight days, over 30 Celsius. Just devastating. 14,000 deaths linked to that.
Wow.
But they also face risks of localized heavy rain or even, bizarrely, unseasonal frosts, like May 2024 that freeze-damaged huge amounts of crops, 265,000 hectares.
And that hit global wheat prices, didn't it?
It did, which really underscores the human and economic costs, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, what are we talking about in terms of impact?
Well, it raises that crucial question. Heat waves alone, they're Europe's deadliest weather event. Tens of thousands of premature deaths since 2000. That 2022 heat wave, estimates are around 70,000 deaths, and analysis suggests, 65% of those were directly human-induced climate change impacts.
That's staggering.
And it's not just heat. Severe storms, hailstorms dropping ice the size of tennis balls. Imagine hail hitting at over 70 miles per hour. The damage is immense.
So how do you even begin to plan for that level of varied, intense threat? The economic side must be huge.
It is. Across Europe, extreme weather cost roughly 790 billion euros between 1980 and 2023. Just 2023 alone saw over 45 billion in damages, and crucially, most of that was uninsured. These are massive, often uncovered liabilities you face.
Uninsured, that's a key point.
And then there's a unique threat in Russia, the permafrost. It's melting. The ground that entire cities, pipelines, roads are built on is literally thawing and sinking.
So the infrastructure itself is failing.
Systemically in places. It's projected to cost something like 3% of Russia's GDP by 2030. It's a massive ongoing challenge.
Okay, so summing this up, late September isn't necessarily that gentle transition anymore. it's potentially a period of high risk for some really severe, impactful weather events.
Precisely. And the recommendation really shifts from just trying to predict the weather towards proactive monitoring, yes, but also event-specific contingency planning. It's about building long-term resilience, adapting to this new reality. These aren't just freak events anymore, they're part of the pattern.
So the final thought for you is this. Knowing that this interconnected summer of extremes is accelerating, extending its reach, how does that reshape your strategic thinking, not just for these 10 days in September, but for the long haul, in a climate that's fundamentally changed, where really the unprecedented is becoming the norm?